On the day I forced Connor Evans to fulfill our marriage contract, his Chloe jumped into the river and committed suicide. 10 years after our marriage, we loved and hated each other, like water and fire. On the night of our last trip with my father, we were in a car accident. My father sacrificed his life to protect me, and was thrown into a bloody mess. I clung to life with all my strength. When I woke up, Connor Evans came to the hospital to see me, a smile on his lips. I rarely smiled, but I gently handed him a glass of water. He hesitated for a moment, then drank it without hesitation. As the poison took effect, he collapsed in agony, using his last ounce of strength to stop my parents from seeking revenge. "My foolish son, she is the one who killed you." His parents held him and cried bitterly, but his eyes were filled with a deep affection I couldn't understand. "I've already taken care of my comrade in arms. I will definitely find the real culprit behind the accident. Mom and Dad, you must take good care of Lynn, you must." Connor Evans died in front of me, and I realized I had made a terrible mistake. I drank the remaining liquid in the cup with tears in my eyes. After being reborn, I decisively broke off the engagement and went into business in Atlanta. Since it was a karmic relationship, why bother entangling ourselves? This time, I would sever the ties of love and let him spend his life with the one he loved. Hold the gauze in place with your hand. As I regained consciousness, a warm hand rested on the back of my hand. Seeing Connor Evans, I almost shed tears. As his hand was about to withdraw, I grabbed it tightly, and the wound on my neck slowly began to bleed. Connor Evans was ambitious, handsome, and a rare young talent. I fell in love with him at first sight. Our families were comrades in arms from the same hometown, and we were betrothed since childhood. I was overjoyed. When I was reborn, he was on leave from the army, and I didn't hesitate to cut my neck with a knife to force him to write a marriage report. Connor Evans looked at my tightly clasped hand with a hint of helplessness. With red eyes, I begged him. "Connor, don't go. My neck hurts so much. Stay with me, just for tonight. Avery Lynn, you've always used this pity tactic to stop me from seeing Shui Ting. Trust me, I will marry you. Stop using these underhanded methods." After saying that, he glanced at the clock on the wall, suddenly remembered something, and immediately let go of my hand, grabbed his clothes, and rushed out the door. My hand hit the edge of the bed, and a sharp pain spread from my wrist. I wiped away my tears and gently touched the wound Connor Evans had carefully bandaged for me. He didn't love me, but because of the marriage arranged by our elders, he had taken such good care of me. In my previous life, I had used every trick in the book, told countless lies, and argued with him every time, screaming and crying hysterically, all to keep Connor Evans by my side. But this time, I wasn't fighting with his Chloe over him. I just wanted him to spend one night with me. After tonight, I won't bother him anymore. I'll just consider it the end of my youthful infatuation. But Connor Evans still left. He was in a hurry to go find Chloe Chen. Because of the engagement, Chloe Chen threw a fit, threatening to jump into the river if Connor Evans broke the engagement or was late. I picked up the marriage certificate on the table and tore it into pieces without mercy. I sighed deeply, found a yellowed piece of paper in an old junk box, and went to a public phone booth to call my aunt who was doing business in Atlanta. "Lynn is finally willing to come help my aunt with her business? Are you willing to give up your brother Connor and not stay here to marry him?" "Yes, I've made up my mind. You and your dad drive the truck to haul goods. Auntie thinks you're smart, hardworking, and willing to learn. This way, you're a young girl traveling alone, so it's not safe. In 2 weeks, I'll have Logan Wolf pick you up. Remember to buy your train ticket in advance." The next morning, I got up early to go buy the ticket. I happened to run into Connor Evans, who had been out all night. He looked exhausted, and he smelled like jasmine, the same scent as Chloe Chen. I pointed to the fried egg noodles on the table. "Connor, eat while it's hot. This is the last time I'll make you breakfast." Connor Evans' eyes flashed with annoyance. "The last time? Avery Lynn, what kind of trick are you trying to pull? Shui Ting is pure and beautiful. She wouldn't be like you, playing mind games. No matter how hard you try, you'll never be as good as Shui Ting in my eyes." "I know, I won't do it anymore." He snorted. "You said that last time too. I won't believe you anymore." He stood up, walked over to me, took a tube of ointment out of his pocket, and stuffed it into my hand. It's getting hotter, remember to apply the ointment on time. The wound on your neck is prone to inflammation. I looked down at the ointment in my hand. He always touched me deeply with these little details. I was immersed in emotion for a few seconds, but then Connor Evans ruthlessly threw the ointment into the trash can. I smiled bitterly. My love was worthless to him. He always treated me with disgust, yet he took care of me out of a sense of responsibility. He was right. In my previous life, no matter how hard I tried, I could never win his heart. I should end this ridiculous engagement as soon as possible. The village paths wound through the winding streets, and the neatly arranged mud brick roofs rose into the sky, sending up wisps of smoke. A man sat on a stool, silently smoking a Hongta Mountain cigarette, while another man leaned against the doorframe, cursing loudly. That good-for-nothing brat dares to be two-timing and betray Xiao Nian, hooking up with your cousin. He's brought shame upon the entire Evans family. But these two grew up together since childhood. It's understandable that they might confuse friendship with love. Xiao Nian, once Connor returns, I'll speak to him properly. But as for dissolving the engagement, Uncle Gu, Connor's heart isn't with me. If we force ourselves together, we'll only hurt each other and damage the harmony between our families. It's better to set each other free. I insisted repeatedly, and finally Uncle Gu relented and agreed. In the presence of the mayor, the two families returned the engagement gifts, and the marriage was officially annulled. Uncle Gu patted me on the shoulder, filled with guilt. Xiao Nian, in the end, it is the Evans family who owes you. Bitterness spread in my heart. In my previous life, I had poisoned his son with my own hands. I owed the Evans family, and now we were even. I stayed at home for 7 or 8 days and told my parents about my plans to go to Atlanta. They agreed with tears in their eyes. I suddenly remembered the car accident from my previous life. I took the sugar I had prepared for my father to stay awake and went to town to ask a familiar person to take a look. It was indeed sleeping pills. I checked the prescription records and found that it was Chloe Chen. My parents said that uncle and aunt had brought her to our house 10 days ago. I guess she must have done something then. If something happened to me, my engagement to Connor Evans would be delayed or even cancelled, and she could marry him legitimately. In the end, it was all my one-sided wishful thinking that brought disaster upon my family. In this life, I just want to live well and hope that Connor Evans can be happy. I searched for train tickets to Atlanta. I had 3 days left. When I returned to the city, it was already dusk. As soon as I entered the house, I heard a woman crying. "Con, I can't go to New York. My aunt refused me. She had promised to take me into business with her. It's all Avery's fault. She stole my opportunity." Chloe Chen was crying in Connor Evans' arms, her tears streaming down her face. When she saw me come in, she hurriedly stood up, looking flustered. "Avery, it's not what you think. Connor and I." Connor Evans shielded the fragile Chloe behind him and looked down at me. "Avery Lynn, I thought you were just playing games before, but I never expected you to be so malicious. I already agreed to marry you, yet you still want to take Shueting's opportunity in Atlanta? I know you're not going anyway, you just hate Shueting and want to make things difficult for her." I was about to leave. I had already decided to give up Connor Evans, but when I saw him favoring Chloe Chen without a second thought, I felt a sharp pain in my heart. I clenched my fists so tightly that my knuckles turned white. "Avery Lynn, call your aunt and explain everything. Give the opportunity back to Shueting." Connor Evans ordered me coldly. "No. Avery Lynn, you're completely unreasonable. I've already submitted the marriage report. The wedding banquet is in 3 days. Do you think I didn't see the date circled on your calendar? You're so eager for our wedding, can't you just behave yourself for a few days and spare Shueting?" I laughed sarcastically. I had already asked the secretary for a new marriage report, forged Connor Evans' handwriting, and changed the bride's name to Chloe Chen. He didn't even glance at it before handing it in. He never cared about our relationship. Behind me, Chloe Chen pulled at Connor Evans with tears in her eyes. "Forget it, Con brother. Avery is determined to make things difficult for me. I'm not going to New York. It's a pity that I saved up for 3 months to buy a ticket to Atlanta." I couldn't stand her pretentious attitude, so I ruthlessly exposed her. Chloe Chen, even if you go, Aunt won't want you. She froze and cried even more pitifully. In the previous life, Aunt never allowed Chloe Chen to go to New York. She insisted on going by bus, and Aunt, seeing her as a pitiful young girl, reluctantly took her in and patiently raised her. Chloe Chen didn't last more than a few months before succumbing to temptation and running off with a wealthy man. In the end, she discovered he was a complete fraud, leaving her heartbroken and penniless. Desperate to find her childhood sweetheart, she returned only to find me married to Connor Evans, and in a fit of despair, she jumped into the river to take her own life. Chloe Chen cried until her eyes were red, which made Connor Evans feel sorry for her. He hurriedly held her in his arms and glared at me. How did you know Aunt wouldn't take her? You're just jealous that Shueting is better than you. A despicable and lowly woman like you, I'll never like you in this lifetime, let alone marry you. I know. This karmic bond was something I had already experienced in my previous life, a mess of chaos with a tragic ending. Watching Connor Evans and Chloe Chen so close and affectionate, I felt no emotion. Having been reborn, I understood that what wasn't meant for me could never be forced. This one-sided love story is over. It's time for me to leave the stage. The day Logan Wolf came to pick me up, it was drizzling. He was a child Auntie picked up in the snow when he was little, and we grew up together, so he was like a childhood friend. The moment I got into the car, a scene flashed through my mind. My heart trembled, and I threw my luggage to Logan Wolf and hurriedly got out of the car. When I was checking my ticket at the station just now, I saw a familiar figure. Now that I've come to my senses, I realize it was that scammer. Some things have changed. It seems that Chloe Chen went to New York early, and her cries to Connor Evans were all fake, all an act. I ran out of the train station and heard cries for help in an alley nearby. Let go of me. I won't go with you, help. Chloe Chen was being held by the scammer and couldn't break free. She was panicked and scared. You women are all gold diggers. You stick to me when I have money, but when you find out I'm broke, you abandon me without mercy. Chloe Chen, you think you can run? No way. I'm going to sell you and let thousands of people ride you and trample you to make money for me. I quietly picked up a brick and slowly approached the scammer, hitting him hard on the head. Ah. The scammer covered his head and fell to the ground. Let's go. I pulled Chloe Chen with me, but she was too scared to move and crouched on the ground. Avery, I'm so scared. I had no choice but to carry her on my back and head toward the alley exit. The con artist quickly followed, holding a knife in his hand, his eyes filled with malice. You bitch, you dared to ambush me. I immediately put Chloe Chen down and shielded her behind me. The knife, glinting in the light, came straight at me. I tried to dodge it, but someone behind me pushed me hard and I collided with the blade. I couldn't believe it. I frowned and looked back at Chloe Chen, but she was smiling, a hint of triumph in her eyes. I felt intense pain in my abdomen. The scammer stabbed me once and wasn't satisfied, so he stabbed me 3 more times with all his strength. When he heard the sound of sirens, he ran away. Chloe Chen didn't fall down, but instead threw herself into a warm embrace. Connor Evans had arrived. Chloe Chen saw him and all her grievances burst forth, and she burst into tears. Con, I'm so scared. Connor Evans carefully held her in his arms and comforted her gently. Connor Evans looked at me lying on the ground not far away and said coldly, Avery Lynn, I hope you didn't do this, or I'll never forgive you. I clutched my painfully wounded body, curling up on the cold floor tiles as rain dripped onto my wounds. Connor, I'm in so much pain. In my previous life, Connor Evans hated me, but he took good care of me. During the day, we would fight fiercely, wanting to kill each other, but at midnight, he would carry me on his back without hesitation when I had a high fever and rush me to the town clinic. One moment we were strangers, and the next, when the shattering glass window crashed down, he selflessly shielded me with his body. Shards of glass embedded deeply into his flesh, but he didn't utter a single complaint, only asking if I was hurt. Because of that marriage contract, he fulfilled his duties as a husband, but he never let me into his heart. In a previous life, he risked his life to protect me. In this life, I risked mine to protect his Chloe. We are now even. The cold rain fell harder and harder. My consciousness faded in the pain, and I felt someone gently lift me onto the ambulance. That person was heartbroken and kept calling me Anian. When I opened my eyes again, I saw a white ceiling, and someone was leaning over the bedside. Connor Evans was asleep, but he still unconsciously gripped the 4-tube, warming the liquid inside. The cold liquid would sting my veins, and he knew I hated pain the most. This was his long-standing habit. I moved slightly, and he woke up with a start, immediately hugging me tightly, as if afraid that I would turn into a wisp of smoke and disappear. It hurts. Connor Evans realized that he was pressing on my wound and quickly got up, looking at me with a guilty expression. Lynn. Just as he was about to say something, he heard the nurse say that Chloe Chin had woken up in the ward upstairs and was crying for him. He thought I was going to insist he stay, but I just pressed my pale lips together and gave him a weak smile. Your Chloe needs you. Go quickly. His pupils dilated, and he looked at me in disbelief, unable to believe that I had suddenly become so understanding. He quickly got up to leave, and before he left, he said firmly to me, Avery Lynn, I'll take care of everything. You'll be my bride. I'll be back soon. Wait for me. I knew that once he went to Chloe Chin, he wouldn't come back. He had broken his promise so many times in the past life, and this life would be no exception. When he walked to the door of the ward, I couldn't help but call out to him. Connor. I hope you'll be happy. He paused. Don't forget our wedding tomorrow. After he left, Logan Wolfe appeared at the door. I paid extra for tomorrow's tickets, but are you sure you can travel in your condition? Why don't we postpone it for a few days? No. We're leaving tomorrow. Amidst the joyful sound of gongs and drums, the wedding proceeded as planned. When the veil was lifted, Connor Evans was taken aback. How is it you? The bride smiled charmingly. Con, I'm finally your bride. Are you happy? Connor Evans was stunned and immediately stood up. Chloe Chen frowned in confusion and pointed to the marriage certificate on the table. Con, I've always been your bride. Your engagement with Avery was broken off long ago. He threw the veil on the ground and looked at the marriage certificate over and over again. The female name was clearly written in 3 bright characters, Chloe Chen. He fell to the ground. Chloe Chen hurriedly ran to Connor Evans' side, leaning on his shoulder coquettishly, looking happy. Con, I finally married you. Connor Evans pushed her away, his eyes red, staring at her, his voice low. Where is Avery Lynn? Where did she go? In my previous life, Logan Wolfe saw Connor Evans and me tormenting each other, loving and hating each other, and he felt so sorry for me that he urged me to divorce him. He said he could take me away and give me a peaceful and stable home, but I was stubborn and refused him outright. He never married. At this moment, we were running around for Aunt's business, working together seamlessly as partners. Aunt looked at us with a look of satisfaction. During a negotiation with a dealer in San Francisco, the other party put forward numerous conditions, attempting to deliberately lower the price. Logan Wolfe was eloquent, accurately analyzing the market and arguing his case. I presented the data and case studies I had collected over the past few weeks to counter their unreasonable demands. After several hours of intense debate, we successfully persuaded the San Francisco dealer and secured a major deal. The next step was to meet in person to deliver the goods. As we walked out the door with the contract in hand, Logan Wolfe and I hugged each other happily. At that moment, a cold voice rang out behind us. Avery Lynn. Logan Wolfe's expression changed slightly, and I turned around to see Connor Evans. He looked haggard, with unshaven stubble on his face. I paused for a moment, then gave him a polite smile. Con, what a coincidence. Why didn't you bring your wife, Chloe Chen? I emphasized the word wife deliberately to provoke Connor Evans. In my previous life, I was his fiancée, the person he had spent his entire life caring for, but I was not the woman he truly loved. In my previous life, I had tried my best and used every means at my disposal to get what I wanted, but I had failed. All I wanted now was to sever this karmic connection with him and no longer be entangled with him. Connor Evans heard what I just said and his emotions clearly flared up. He suddenly stepped forward and hugged me tightly. The wife of Connor Evans can only be Avery Lynn. It was always you in the past, and it can only be you now. The long-lost warmth washed over me, and my entire body stiffened. Then I realized, before? Connor Evans and I had never been married. What before was he talking about? It could only mean one thing: Connor Evans had also been reborn. Discovering that his wife was the Lynn he had loved in his previous life, shouldn't he be overjoyed? Didn't he want me to leave as soon as possible? Why had he traveled all this way to find me? Could he possibly hate me and want to take revenge? I struggled violently in Connor Evans' embrace. The more I tried to break free, the tighter he held me. Connor Evans buried his face in the crook of my neck, greedily inhaling my scent. His voice was muffled. "Avery Lynn, come back with me." Logan Wolfe, standing nearby, clenched his fists tightly. I lingered. Smack! A heavy slap landed on Connor Evans' face. He looked at me in disbelief, my voice as cold as the frost of winter. "Connor Evans, you're a married man. You've crossed the line. There's no future between us." I bit my lip, struggling to control my emotions. He came to his senses, rubbed his reddened face, and glared at me viciously. "Avery Lynn, do you enjoy treating me like a dog? You were the one who threatened to kill yourself to force me to fulfill our marriage contract. You were the one who pretended to be weak and pitiful to keep me. Now you're the one who altered the marriage report, broke off the engagement, and ran away. Avery Lynn, is it fun to toy with me?" I had rarely seen such an expression on Connor Evans' face, humiliated and frustrated. "Think whatever you want." I finished speaking, took Logan Wolfe's hand, and prepared to leave. In my previous life, the last thing I wanted was for Connor Evans to hate me, but now I just wanted him to think the worst of me, leave me, and be with the woman he loved most, Chloe. But Connor Evans saw me leaving and quickly grabbed my hand, his eyes reddening. "Avery Lynn, don't go." I hardened my heart and forcefully shook off his hand. "Connor Evans, I don't love you. I don't want to see you again. Deep feelings but shallow fate, those who shouldn't be together will only hurt each other if they force it. In my previous life, I poisoned the man I loved with my own hands and drank the poison myself. In this life, I only hope he can live happily and peacefully." That night, I made up my mind to let go, left Connor Evans behind, and left with Logan Wolfe. He has such a strong sense of pride, he never really liked me. After being rejected so harshly, he should have left. But the next day, I saw Connor Evans downstairs. He seemed to sense my gaze and looked up. I quickly turned away and leaned against the wall, holding back my tears. I didn't want to go downstairs or see him. But it was almost time to meet with the dealer in San Francisco, and Aunt's business couldn't be delayed. Finally, I steeled myself and went downstairs. Connor Evans must have sat downstairs all night. His eyes were dark and puffy, looking haggard and exhausted. When he saw me, he perked up and took the breakfast from his arms and handed it to me. "You said that was the last time you would make breakfast for me, and I didn't appreciate it. Lynn, from now on, I'll buy you breakfast and make it for you. Will you let me make it up to you?" His deep eyes were filled with affection, a look I had only seen in his eyes when he looked at Chloe Chin in my previous life. "Connor Evans, you're too late. I don't like you anymore. Belated affection is worthless. Just leave and don't bother me anymore." At that moment, Logan Wolfe rode up on his bicycle. "And Yen, we should go. We'll be late." Connor Evans saw Logan Wolfe and felt a surge of jealousy. He shoved the breakfast into my hands and said softly, "Lynn, I just wanted to see you. I didn't mean to cause you any trouble. Eat your breakfast and take care of yourself." In both of our lives, Connor Evans had always been hostile toward me. When had he ever been so tender? I felt my heart soften for a moment. But in my previous life, no matter how hard I tried, it always ended in a mess. I was tired. I really didn't have the strength to repeat the same mistakes. I threw the breakfast on the ground, just as Connor Evans had trampled on my heart before. "It's impossible between us. Go back." I left him alone, picking up the buns he had worked so hard to warm up. When I left, Connor Evans looked hurt, like a dog abandoned in the rain. That image lingered in my mind all day. When I got home in the afternoon, I paid special attention to the people passing by on the road. Although I had rejected Connor Evans harshly, I still couldn't help but hope that he would show up. But nothing happened. He must have gone home. Finally, it was really over between us. At that moment, there was a knock on the door. When I opened the door, I saw Logan Wolf, panting heavily. Your father is in danger. In my previous life, my father had died tragically in front of me while protecting me, and the overwhelming fear made my mind go blank. Just 2 days ago, I had called home from a payphone to let my family know I was safe. Today was the day my father was supposed to go out to deliver goods. Tears welled up in my eyes. I quickly got dressed and stumbled out the door with Logan Wolf. Downstairs, I unexpectedly ran into Connor Evans. He hadn't left. He walked up to me and held my hand tightly. Lynn, I never married Chloe Chen. Come back with me. We'll get married right away. If you want to do business in Atlanta, I'll accompany you. I've already submitted my transfer request. I'll be with you forever. Whatever you want to do, I'll be by your side. This was the first time in 2 lifetimes that he had abandoned Chloe Chen and chosen me with such determination. I had finally gotten the love I had always wanted, but I couldn't feel happy at all. I had no time to pay attention to him and pulled Logan Wolf away in a hurry. Connor Evans anxiously grabbed my hand. Do you hate me so much that you want to leave me so quickly? Let go. I was in a hurry and didn't want to waste time here, so I coldly snapped at him. You're really playing with me, Avery Lynn. Have you fallen in love with Logan Wolf? Logan Wolf tightened his grip on my hand. Connor Evans, we're not together anymore. You have no right to interfere in my life. Connor Evans coldly stared at Logan Wolf. Does he have the right to take you away from me? At least he won't be two-timing me and entangled with his childhood sweetheart. I got into the car Logan Wolf had found without looking back. Watching Connor Evans pound on the car window and urgently call my name, I forced myself to suppress the pain in my heart. I didn't understand. In his previous life, he hated me for trying to tie him down with marriage, but now that he was free, why was he still chasing after me? Avery Lynn, don't go with him. Lynn, don't leave me. 9. It was already evening when I got home. I didn't dare to relax for a moment. My legs were weak, but I still ran home without caring about anything else. Your father? He just left. He's working the early shift today. My mother's words hit me like a thunderbolt, and I collapsed to the ground. I was too late. The pork on the table looked out of place. My mother explained that Chloe Chen had come by earlier that morning. Her family had slaughtered a pig and brought some over for us. Logan Wolf pulled me up, quickly found a bicycle, and I jumped on without saying a word. He pedaled furiously. Tears welled up in my eyes as I prayed countless times that my father would be okay. Logan Wolf took a shortcut, and soon we saw my father's truck driving on the winding mountain road. At that moment, his brakes failed, and the truck careened toward the cliff like a wild horse breaking free from its reins. My heart skipped a beat, and I fell off the bicycle. No. I trembled all over and shouted desperately. It was over. Everything was over. I still couldn't save my father. Just as I was about to give up hope, a small truck suddenly appeared from the side and blocked my father's truck. I clearly saw that face I both loved and hated. Connor Evans looked at me with determination and resolve. He gave a weak smile and opened his mouth, and I understood what he was saying. Lynn, I love you. No. Bang. The collision sent a deafening crash echoing through the air. My ears rang, and I nearly fainted. Shards of metal flew everywhere, landing at my feet. Connor Evans's car was smashed to pieces as it plunged off the cliff, while my father's car teetered precariously on the edge. My father was temporarily safe. I cried so hard that my brain felt oxygen deprived, and my body felt like it was drying out. Seeing Logan Wolf beside me, I was consumed by rage. I grabbed his neck tightly with red eyes. Did you do this? Speak. Did you interfere? In my previous life, Logan Wolf never married and lived next door to Connor Evans and me. Every time Connor Evans and I had a huge argument and he left me to go find Chloe Chen, Logan Wolf would pat my back. Seeing how heartbroken I was, he had wanted to take revenge on Connor Evans more than once, but I always stopped him. I didn't want outsiders to interfere in my relationship with Connor Evans, nor did I want Connor Evans to be hurt. But now, it's possible that Logan Wolf has also been reborn and is looking for an opportunity to take revenge on Connor Evans. Logan Wolf was choking and collapsed on the ground. It wasn't me, it was Chloe Chen. I had lost my mind and was overcome by emotion. During this time, Logan Wolfe had been busy running errands for Auntie. How could he have had time to do anything? I thought of the pork on the table at home and suddenly understood. My wedding night should have been spent in passionate intimacy with my childhood sweetheart, but instead I was cruelly abandoned. Any woman in my situation would be looked down upon and drowned in a sea of spit. Chloe Chin must think that I am the one responsible for all this. I stole her beloved and ruined her reputation, making her unable to hold her head up in Arizona. I stumbled down the mountain and found Connor Evans' small truck. By the time I reached it, I was covered in blood. Ignoring the pain, I struggled to pull Connor Evans out of the car. There was blood everywhere, his flesh and clothes stuck together, but his face was pale and lifeless. I screamed his name over and over, my heart breaking. Connor, don't leave me. Please wake up. Everything I said before about not loving you was a lie. In our past life, we tormented each other, and you died horribly at my hands. This time, I thought by staying away from you, you'd be okay. But I never thought you'd. Woo-woo. Connor Evans, I'm the one who wronged you. I wept uncontrollably. The person in my arms suddenly coughed and slowly opened his eyes, his chest heaving violently. Fool, I did all this willingly, cough cough. Connor Evans coughed up blood in large mouthfuls. Connor, don't talk. Logan Wolfe has already gone to call for help. You have to hold on. Lynn, I'm so cold. Hold me, please, cough cough. Okay, I'll hold you. Connor Evans, don't die. I promise you, as long as you survive, I'll marry you. You can even give your life for me. You wouldn't bear to leave me alone to grow old and die, would you? I held Connor Evans tightly, afraid that he would take his last breath like he did in our previous life and die before my eyes. He raised his blood-stained hand, and I grabbed it tightly. He looked at me with the same expression he had before he died in our previous life. Only now did I understand that it was an expression of infinite love. Lynn, in our previous life and in this life, I only want you to be happy forever. I cried out in grief. No. I can't be happy without you. Connor Evans and I were entangled in 2 lifetimes. I wanted to cut off our relationship, but I discovered that our feelings for each other were already inextricable. We loved each other, but we also hurt each other. We were both proud people, covered with thorns that hurt each other when we were close, but when we were far apart, we missed each other. When I saw Chloe Chen again, she had been arrested for intentional assault. She was no longer the same as before, with red lips and white teeth, bright and beautiful. She now looked like a flower that had lost its vitality and was about to wither. When she saw me, her face was filled with surprise and confusion. Chloe Chen was very excited and said her first words. How is Con? Are you okay? It's all my fault, it's all my fault. Although I hated Chloe Chen for 2 lifetimes, I knew that she was not the kind of person who would hurt others. She was too easily manipulated. At that moment, a man walked in. I looked up and saw that it was Chairman Chen, the San Francisco dealer we had been doing business with. His gaze was cold and vicious. A small thought arose in my mind. He seemed to want to say something to Chloe Chen, so I politely stepped aside. Before leaving, I couldn't resist peeking through the door to eavesdrop. It turned out that Chloe Chen hadn't wasted her ticket to Atlanta. She had taken the train to New York, where she met Chairman Chen. Upon learning that this woman shared his surname, a sign of fate, and was also my cousin, he saw her as a valuable pawn and began to feign interest in her. Chloe Chen couldn't resist the sudden surprise. Having just been deeply hurt by her childhood sweetheart, she threw herself into a relationship with the man without hesitation. Logan Wolfe and I were doing more and more business in New York, expanding our territory and gaining momentum. Chairman Chen panicked. He instigated Chloe Chen to return to her hometown and cause trouble, hoping that I would be distracted and not keep my eyes on this fat piece of meat. Chloe Chen already hated and resented me, and her anger clouded her judgment. She was led astray and turned her attention to my father, which led to today's tragedy. But she also unintentionally hurt the person she loved deeply. Chloe Chen went through all this trouble, got nothing in return, and ended up being Chairman Chen's scapegoat. Before I left, she clung tightly to my hand, her tone calm. In a past life, I hated you. A con artist targeted your family's money, manipulating me into swapping your father's energy candy with sleeping pills, ultimately leading to Khan's death. In this life, I hate you with every fiber of my being. I was manipulated by Chairman Chin into killing your father, and in the end, I even dragged Connor Evans into this. Now, I have nothing left to ask for. I just want to know if Khan is still alive. Please tell me. I closed my eyes helplessly. Chloe Chin, don't you realize the evil you've done? Lin, you're so beautiful. The man in the hospital bed looked at me happily as I peeled an apple for him. I raised my hand to block the apple from his mouth, and he obediently opened his mouth. You feed me so sweetly. I couldn't bear to look at Connor Evans' pretentious expression. He was deliberately doing it for Logan Wolf's benefit. Connor Evans, can you stop being so childish? He glanced coldly at Logan Wolf and curled his lips. Then let him go. I looked at Logan Wolf with a troubled expression, and he graciously left. I hate anyone who steals my wife. I covered my face, beginning to wonder if Connor Evans had hit his head. Lin, don't you dare stare at Logan Wolf. In my previous life, he would start fighting for attention whenever he saw me and Logan Wolf together, but Logan Wolf and I were innocent and had never done anything inappropriate. Connor, I don't understand. In your previous life, you clearly wanted to be with Chloe Chin, but why did you abandon her on your wedding night in this life? He immediately dropped his playful demeanor and spoke earnestly. I was reborn at the wedding. Before the veil was lifted, seeing you in the wedding procession, I suddenly felt that being with you this lifetime wasn't so repulsive. When I realized the bride wasn't you but Chloe Chin, I felt like I'd fallen into an ice cave. That's when I realized my heart had already been completely taken by you. Avery Lin, I've always loved you. There are so many misunderstandings and barriers between us. We should have been together long ago. With both sets of parents looking on, Connor Evans and I had a banquet. Our elders looked pleased and blessed us, hoping that our hardships were over. Logan Wolf drank a lot that day. He smiled bitterly as he made a toast. May the newlyweds grow old together and have many children. He downed his drink in one gulp, stood up, and left, alone. Connor Evans had been successfully transferred to a new position, and at the train station in Atlanta, the departure bell rang. I looked out the window and saw Logan Wolf smiling and waving at me from a distance, his lips moving slightly. And Nyen, goodbye. I smiled and waved goodbye, but Connor Evans forcefully turned my head away. Don't look at him. Lin, you can only look at me. I felt helpless. Connor, do you feel like your heart has grown smaller? He blushed, then took my hand and kissed it. Lin, my wife, I will always love you. I smiled. Connor Evans, please guide me in the years to come. The end.